details, which we thoroughly enjoyed with the in-depth of every aspects. Thanks. Thank you, Aya.
As Vijayalakshmi is telling, a heavy load of information has been given. Medicine, philosophy, Maharishi, and modern all put together. A lot of information. How much you are able to digest and this thing. Though he has given maximum simplicity and clarity, it is such a difficult topic for everyone to understand and answer. So only my request will be to break it into bits and understand clearly. So, Ananda, what do you think?
Yes, yeah, I can do it in small chunks also.
Yeah. If it is done in small chunks, then we will be this thing. The right from the basics, like universal magnetism and biomagnetism. What is the difference between this universal magnetism and biomagnetism?
Yes, yeah. Universal magnetism is nothing but the establishment of the magnetism in the universe, macrocosm, while the same magnetism is established in a very small fraction in the individual human beings, which we call as biomagnetism. Or in other words, we can say the biomagnetism is nothing but magnetism which is getting contained within the biological organs. But in general, the magnetism happens even before the biology evolved, even before the first unicellular organism evolved. That's where the universal magnetism is established.
The universal magnetism travels in a linear way. The biomagnetism goes round and round and round. When it is doing this circular, cyclic motion, it gets intensified. Nothing is lost. When in universal magnetism, it goes on in a linear way. Whatever is escaping from the main flow is lost. Whereas in a biomagnetism, in a circular motion, it is not lost, it is reinforced. It is in the same field and it gets evolved, altered, and that's why you don't see much of evolution in the living beings outside the body. It is within the body. And this is mainly due to the difference between the universal magnetism and biomagnetism. Can I say it like that?
Yes, yeah.
So, similarly, you had how can you control the life force? Speed of the life force.
Yes, yeah. So we understood quite clearly in this presentation about the life force and its relation with the biomagnetism. And we know that if the life force is in the higher frequency, like for example beta or the even alpha, there is loss of wastage. It's quite simple. The numbers frequency what we are discussing is cycles per second. So if you are able to produce like 20 to 40 or 14 to 40 in specific the beta frequency, you are spending so much of energy. So that is where the life energy is getting wasted or biomagnetism getting wasted. If we are able to reduce our mind frequency to the lower level like delta, like 4 hertz, which is 4 beats or 4 cycles per second, obviously you are conserving like 10 times more amount of life energy. conserving the life energy by using the meditation will result in excess of life energy. That excess of life energy will help in replenishing the aging tissue, and also it results in a kind of a satisfaction where you don't have to eat so much of food from external sources. That's why the yogis don't need to eat like 3 times a day or 4 times a day, and they are able to have a good sustained life with a small amount of sattvic food, sometime once a day, and sometime they can go fasting for days and weeks. And so the life force can be conserved, and by conserving we are making the life force to be appropriately utilized in preventing the aging and maintaining the youthfulness and healthiness.
Ananda, the biomagnetic circulation in the body is in 4 layers: beta, alpha, theta, delta. The frequency in delta is low, 4 to 1. The frequency in beta is 14 to 40. Is there any way to control beta in the periphery? It is not possible. To reduce the frequency, you have to move closer to the core. And when you come automatically to the core, the frequency comes down by itself. In a spinning system, there is a velocity gradient, there is a density gradient, and all parameters step down in spinning system. And when they reach the core of the spinning system, the sushumna, what is there? Nothing but an empty tube. So it is Kadavul is go inside to reduce the frequency. And I'm afraid that we have nothing to reduce the beta which is outside. What do you say?
Yes, sir, yeah.
So instead of trying to alter it, you go with the wind. You gravitate to the center. Everything settles. And the 7 chakras are only to lift you up to the Sahasradhara, where the everything is ideal for your salvation. And this, there is a link between the Sahasrara and the seventh chakra. Similarly, with the increased velocity, higher frequency, low density, it is only in the periphery. And the spinning system settles everything according to the distance from the center. And that's why we become less dynamic as you go to the higher levels. And we become, the BMR itself comes down, everything comes down. It is moving towards the least dynamic place, that is the delta state, which helps the desired results to come. So it is understanding the whole field and yourself locating in the ideal place, which is easy and more helpful, I think. Let others answer question rather than just listening. Santana Krishna, do you have any question?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. It's a wonderful presentation, and I think, as you said, I have to go a little more deeper into that and delve into that to understand much better and ask some questions. Thank you very much, Dr. Anand Kumar. Thank you.
Mm, Our last week presenter, Leela Vinodhan.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Your questions, please. Your comments,
Yes.
please.
I have one small doubt. I thank Dr. Anand Kumar. Very nice presentation, very in-depth, and some of the things for non-medical people very difficult to understand. But 75% we could grasp. One small doubt that in the human reproductive system, the semen pipe from testes to vascular storage point, and that arrangement I have studied it. And Mooladhar is the center of the body of the any living's center. XYZ axis center point is the Mooladhar, as doctor told MVRIA. Biomagnetic force, it is rotates in the circular, so it forms a center point and a circular motion that becomes the Mooladhar or genetic center. Now my doubt is this SVF fluid is going from testes to penny via uh, vesicular small container point. From there goes to penis through prostate gland. How the SVF we are connecting, if you increase the SVF quantity and quality and intensity, your life force increases. That is a general concept what we have understood. Now how the energy is coming to the Mooladhar from the SVF seminal pipe or tube. That mechanism, what I understood is, it dissipates the SVF at this point, since it is near to the vertex point. It sucks the SVF in the form of energy particle or windtugalgal, and it combines at the center, and during Vajas Muchu, that we are taking upward and spreading throughout the body. That's what I could understand. But anything medically, how it transmitted to the Mooladhar from the semen pipe, that is anything details, if you explain, it will be more thankful to you.
Yeah, I can explain it medically. So medically,
Yes.
what happens is, as we discussed, the prime aim of the human beings, or if we go back even to the level of the unicellular organism, is to procreate, which means to produce offsprings, children. So a single bacteria's aim is to become two, and each of the two bacteria aim is to become four. If you take, for example, COVID-19, the COVID-19 virus don't even have a proper DNA. It is only a fragment of RNA. Even that fragment of RNA, without even a proper cell structure, it has got that inherent intuition to multiply. And since that COVID-19 RNA can't multiply outside in a lake or in a plant or in a forest, it looks for a host. So that's how human beings got affected in COVID-19. And when that RNA enters the cell, the COVID-19's aim is the cell will replicate. So indirectly, the COVID-19 will become double, triple, etc. The COVID-19 is not interested in killing a man. If a COVID-19 enters a man and kills a man, it's a loss of purpose. The COVID-19 can't multiply. Unfortunately, what happens is when the COVID-19 infection happens, our own body immunity tries to kill the COVID-19, produces such a heavy immune flare. That immune flare our body itself is unable to tolerate, resulting in respiratory failure, death, etc. That is the mechanism. Why I brought this information is scientifically also, not necessarily spiritual. Scientifically also, the aim of a living being is to procreate. If we see some trees literally break through the compound wall and grow, literally go into the wall and enter the house. So to that level, a tree has the ability to grow. That's it. And if you take a human body, again, one of the major energy consuming organ is the testes, production of sperms, seminal vesicles, ejaculation, sex. That's why during the sex, with a good amount of interest, even if somebody is having a proper sex with a spouse or even masturbating, immediately after the ejaculation, both the women and men after the climax will have so much of increase in the respiratory rate, because so much of energy is conserved for appropriate sex and ejaculation. Since the energy is conserved, all this ROS, reactive oxygen species, all the metabolites which are supposed to be excreted are held up, because creating or clearing the ROS, clearing the bad mechanism is not the aim. The aim is to save all the energy for a fantastic sexual act. Once the act is happened, the job done. Then you can see that so much of ROS, reactive oxygen species, and increase in carbon dioxide accumulated in the body. The lungs tries to take a good deep breath and increased breathing to clear everything out. To that level, the sexual activity and the sexual part of the work is given so much of importance in diverting the life energy source to that. If somebody is able to have appropriate sexual frequency of ejaculation, as Maharishi has explained in many areas, that will result in conserving the sexual energy, indirectly the life energy. That conserved life energy will result in good quality biomagnetism, good quality healing, healthiness, longevity, etc. So that's how even medically we can explain that appropriate sexual activity and conservation of the sexual vital fluid will result in excellent health and better longevity without any illness. For your question on the anatomical things, testes produces the sperm. It goes via vas deferens and getting stored in the seminal vesicle. During the sexual intercourse, the contents of seminal vesicle and some content from prostate are getting ejaculated. Testes produce sperms 24/7 every minute, but you can't have sex continuously. So that's why everything is getting stored in the seminal vesicle and appropriately released. Release of the seminal vesicle, erection of the penis, ejaculation, emission is a very, very heavy energy dependent procedure. It is like taking a car in a mountain in a steep range, how you need to keep yourself in the low gear. We all know in the car, if you keep in the low gear, you are consuming more fuel per second compared to high gear. So the sexual activity is like driving a car in a uphill in low gear and giving the full throttle to reach the peak. You may be traveling 1 kilometer, but amount of energy spent compared to a flat driving at 5th gear or 8th gear is like 10 times or 100 times more. The conservation of energy by appropriate regulation of the ejaculation will result in increased life energy reserve, increased biomagnetism, and also it helps in unnecessary mind deviation into the things where if somebody has completed the family, the use of or misuse of it should be regulated. That is the main principle spiritually also.
Yes. My doubt is different, Aya. My doubt is how the energy from the seminal line to Mooladhara.
Okay.
How the energy is transferred. That is
Okay.
how it is getting transferred to Mooladhara from the seminal fluid line.
Okay.
So we are all saying SVF, when you increase the SVF quantity, quality, and strength, your life force or your Mooladhara or genetic center or your that thing improves, your voice smooth improves.
I
My
can explain
point
it.
is only that how it is getting transferred from SVF seminal fluid line to
I will explain here.
genetic.
It is not.
Leela
Yes, sir.
Vinodan, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Leela Vinodan, it is your handicap is because of the anatomy and function of the body. And
Maybe.
the SVF is the core, and the union between the sperm and ovum takes place also at the core, and this can be understood by a personal discussion between you and Anand Kumar in a better way. Now we have Dr. Arunakaran, professor, researcher who has done a lot of work in Kayakalpa. Dr. Arunakaran, sir. Arunakaranaya?
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Very good discussions going on. I really appreciate Dr. Anand Kumar. I want to discuss about epigenetics.
Yes.
So I'm not able to understand the expression of epigenetics on this situation. Kindly explain that.
Sure. So how this epigenetics works is, epi means.
What is the basic explanation of epigenetics, and then come to the topic.
Okay, yeah.
Please.
So we know what is epi. For example, in the skin we have dermis and then we have epidermis. Epidermis is something which is above something. So dermis is below, above that is epidermis. So EPI, that prefix stands for something above it. So we have genetics. As I explained, the genetics are responsible for various things, like for example diabetes and various genetically transmitted diseases. And epigenetics is above genetics. The epigenetics is the place where our yoga, meditation, lifestyle changes, kaya kalpa, everything comes into play. If we are not having a very strong epigenetic practice in the life, then genetic probabilities will exhibit. If somebody has to become a diabetic, they will become diabetic. If somebody has to get a heart disease or any genetic problem, they will get exhibited. If somebody is able to strengthen the epigenetics strongly, then they will be having less influence of the genetics in the world. It is nothing to do with yoga alone. It is something to do with the lifestyle also. Say for example, people in Japan, they are all very much immune to diabetes, cholesterol related problems, because in Japan the food habits are quite healthy. They take lot of healthy vegetables, fruits, and even fish and those kind of things. There is no place for burger or smoked items or additives, McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, nothing in Japan. I'm telling like 8 years back. Those kind of people who are having a very quiet life, meditation, morning walk to their working place, good amount of exercise, they never had the problems of the diabetic and hypertension. But after the Second World War, people have migrated for the better fortune to different areas. When the Japanese who want to have a better structure or earnings have moved to America, like working in IT, etc., they are able to see within one generation the subsequent Japanese population or getting the problems of diabetes, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, just like Americans. The only difference is epigenetics. Eating fast food, waking up late in the night, not sleeping enough, not much relaxation, living in a very constructed city environment, etc. So epigenetics are the main thing which we can control. Unfortunately, genetic I can't control. For example, I may have inherited some good things and bad things from my mother and father, which I have no control at all, like any of us. And the only thing we have control is the epigenetics. If epigenetics is appropriately controlled, we can control the genetic related diseases completely, and indirectly we will control even the planetary related genetic problems. We know that the genetic center and the genetics are influenced by the planetary motion. That's why we see astrology. That's why we see all the cuttums and see the planetary motions. We say for this person now it's going to have 7.5 years of Sani Perchi, etc. But all those things work via the genetics because of the planetary motion. And if we have a good epigenetic principles and practices, we can win over genetic influences, planetary influences, which is very much explained by Maharishi in various places. Thank
you. Another question. If my father is a very good sky professor, I would have getting knowledge of all these things. Is it true or not?
No, it's not like that. The reason is not like that. I will tell you the reason. The reason is, I mean, yes and no. I'm not telling negatively. Yes and no. Let us take, for example, if you are born when your father is approximately like 22 or 25-year-old. At the age of 22 or 25-year-old, your father may not have got the best possible experiences in Sky Yoga. He may have become a professor and reached a very high level in Sky Yoga only at the age of 40 or 50-year-old. So when you are born, you genetically is not inheriting too much of the Sky Yoga principles from him. But the advantage is the epigenetics. Epigenetics means when you are growing, when you are at the age of 10, your father is at the age of 35. When your father is doing the meditation, yoga, everything, at the age of 10, you will feel it's normal. For someone where your father is getting up at 5 o'clock and doing meditation, Sky Yoga and Kaya Kalpa, and seeing that and growing, that is epigenetics. Of course, if you are doing that correctly and if your son is doing that correctly, within 3 generations, that epigenetic will influence the genetic and it will be having a genetic imprint, and a child will be born with a good Sky Yoga principles quite naturally because of the constant exposure to epigenetics. That's what Maharishi used to say, that if we all working good, the future world will be completely peaceful. That Maharishi's visualization of complete world peace will happen only if we have at least few generations of practice going on.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You are not and
thank you, sir.
Now, fine. Life Force Group knows very well Ashwin Shah, and his continuous silence is unusual to them. Ashwin ji.
Namaskar, doctor. I'm sorry I had so many family duties during the last 3 months that I just could not avoid, My wife went through a major back surgery. So I had to attend to that and I missed a lot of good sessions. So pardon me for that.
Okay. We will catch it up. Guru Ayya. Unmute. Guru Ayya.
Wonderful session, Ayya. Romba Arpudam.
Nandri.
Also Ramadan. Manisha?
Valga Vulamudan, sir. Valga Vulamudan, everyone. I have a few questions, sir, and please pardon my ignorance in the science subject. So first is I wanted Dr. Ananda. I mean, first of all, to congratulate you for having such a dense, in-depth presentation, and please share the slides later.
Sure.
But my first question would be, can you connect the life force speed or the frequency with the proton flux, which you mentioned, which is the core which derives the function or which triggers the electron transportation around the cell membrane, which creates the potential gradient and hence the whole biomagnetism inside, like the bioelectricity functions. So how can we relate the life force particles frequency with the proton flux in the body? This is first
Manisha.
question.
Manisha, I
Second
will
question
answer
was
one by
on-
one if you don't mind.
Yes,
So
yes.
keep a note of your second question. So this is an important phenomenon to understand if scientifically someone wants to understand the frequency, everything. So what is happening is biologically, if you go into the formation of the unicellular organ under the sea, it is salt water, it is very acidic, but there are some alkaline kind of sources. When the alkaline sources comes or emits or fumes, and then it comes in contact with the acidic water from the sea, that acidic and alkaline differences result in proton flux. A proton flux is the initial manifestation. Later on, the electron flux started. Once the electron flux started, that is electricity. Flow of electrons from one place to another is electricity, and when electron flows in one place to another, it produces electricity, and around that it produces magnetism, that is electromagnetism. Electromagnetism in an inanimate thing is known as universal magnetism. In an animate thing is known as biomagnetism. So we can directly correlate the initial formation of so-called life in a cell because of the proton flux, later electron flux, resulting in a membrane which separates two regions and resulting in the flow. Initially, this flow will be very minimal because if the difference in the acidic and alkaline will be very minimal. We know that 7 is the neutral pH. So acidic means it is just like -5 or 5 or 6 or 6.5, while alkaline is nothing but 7.2, 7.5. Because of the very small difference, the proton goes from the alkaline to acidic and the electron flows from the acidic to alkaline, resulting in that neutralization. And the neutralization happens so quickly, it's like a life forms and dies immediately, because once the neutral happen, life dies. Even our human body, we have increased sodium in the extracellular compartment like a blood, plasma, etc., while inside the cell there is increased sodium. If this difference of increased sodium in the cell and less sodium outside the cell getting diminished, a man will die, a woman will die. So initially it's a very small one, so it's a very low frequency phenomenon. But when the things, as I explained, become multicellular organism, when the anus and the mouth formed, when the organs formed, it becomes very complex. Then only the frequency slowly increased, and even now we can say that maybe we are thinking in the region of like delta up to 40, 35 hertz, etc., while a fish may not reach that delta level because it's much more simpler organisms. So the proton flux is a kind of a starting phenomenon, and later on the frequency is slowly increased. What is the next question, Manisha?
Yes, sir. Can I just add on? I mean, another question on what you explained. So when you say that the proton flux is the first step and then the electron flux started, so where was this proton flux initially? You know, when, as you mentioned that in unicellular, because of the difference in the alkalinity and acidity of the water, but there must have been some, how do I say, the base, something which was already there, or from where was it derived? The initial content of the H plus, basically, a pH, where was it?
Yeah. So initial H plus is just by the acid rain. So when the earth formed, we are taking it like 4,000 or 4 billion years back. When the earth formed, the earth has lots of acid sea, and the water alone will get evaporated, and then the clouds will form. Even the clouds are acidic, that results in acidic rain. So that's how the primordial material of the earth formed. How the earth formed? We know it is from the sun. So from the part of a sun, if there are particles or emitted like Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, everything is getting emitted, and a small part with lots of acid and small amount of alkaline, which is quite in deep, it formed, and that's what 4 billion years back. And when it gets slowly cooled, that resulted in the acid rain, formation of single cellular organisms. And when the single cell organisms formed, the organisms were not able to use the sunlight as energy like chlorophyll because of the dense acid cloud. And slowly, when the acidity is neutralized, the sky got cleared. When the sun rays reached the earth, the cells able to utilize the sunlight, and that is the primordial chlorophyll. And from this primordial chlorophyll, small plants formed. From the plants, we have know that amphibians formed, or the aquatic things formed, and then amphibians formed, and everything. One continuation right from that plant's chlorophyll to the human being is mitochondria. Mitochondria is nothing but the modified chlorophyll of a primordial plant. That's why for every cell, mitochondria is the powerhouse. That is where the metabolism happens. That is where the energy of the particular cell is maintained. While if you take it to the prehistoric living beings, it is the chlorophyll. And the same chlorophyll has become chloroplast and cyanobacterium, and in the plants it becomes a chlorophyll where the leaves are able to get the sunlight, and as it produces sunlight and utilizing the carbon dioxide, it releases a lot of oxygen that releases in the living beings, which can depend on the oxygen, which is much more better aerobic digestion than anaerobic digestion, which happened historically.
Yes, sir. So I also read Maharishi. Yes, sir.
Sorry for the interruption, Manisha.
Yes, sir.
In the Middle East, the crucial area which the Red Sea occupies, if you go into the depth of the sea, is very much unimaginable, and the water pressure will be so high, and even a submarine may burst there if it tries to go deep into that place. And in these depths and in this high pressure, the living beings are totally different. You get into that details. It explains where the anaerobic, aerobic, all put together, transient, what Ananda was trying to tell, all those things are present. And it is very difficult for anyone to stay alive there because of the enormous, unimaginable pressure of the water there. And this may throw more light on your question.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Because in one of the books, Maharishi actually says, I mean, I've read it, that in inanimate objects, at some point, the free life force particle, the free Akash particles, and started spinning. and they created a specific, because of the specific gravity, there was a center which was later called genetic center. So that attraction of the free particles from the space to an inanimate object to create life. I'm just trying to connect that from where that moment comes, and how can we define scientifically that in terms of proton flux. If, like, because proton flux is proton, but when we say energy particles, we say it's electron. So how do we connect that part?
Yes, we can explain this by using the three body principle, like the Stula Sariram and then Suchma Sariram and also the Karana Sariram. In English, it's known as causal body, subtle body, and the physical body. Whatever we are discussing, that can answer even Leela Vilardhan sir's question also. So whatever we are discussing in the physical body is where this proton efflux happening, this electron efflux happening, everything. Behind this physical body is the subtle body. In the subtle body, everything is biomagnetism and everything is a kind of a spinning force. And as Rabi Ayya in his PowerPoints very clearly mentioned about the life force particles spinning around, and the slow wave particles are closer to the body, and fast particles are outside like the beta wave. And if a yogi is doing good amount of meditation, he will be slowly increasing the slow wave particle, and the fast wave particles are getting marginated or thinned out. So that is happening completely in a subtle body. In a physical body, if you dissect, we can't find anywhere this kind of rotations happening. The same thing happens, applies for even Leela Villadan Ayya's question, that the sperm, ejaculation, conservation of energy, they are all happening in the physical body, while Mooladharam is the equivalent of the subtle body, where you will be having the conservation of the biomagnetism, which results in a stronger Mooladharam. And when we do Kayakalpa, that biomagnetism is taken to the higher chakras, resulting in stronger higher chakras. So that Sundavutta Sakti, Maharishi is explaining, self-containing, self-rotating force, is more to do with the subtle body, while in physical body you will be seeing the physical things.
Anand, thanks for bringing in the three bodies. The genetic center is the focal point of all the three bodies. In the physical body, you have the sexual vital fluid represented in the focal point. In the astral body, you have the life force particles with more space in its structure and least number of particles, energy particles. So that is absolute space more present in the formation of the genetic center. And in the causal body, it is the slowest waves, that is the delta waves, 43210. So Maharishi brings out this point. All the three bodies take part in the formation of the genetic center, and all the three in conjunction contributes to the greatness or the wonderful functions of the genetic center. And the confluence of these entities in the genetic center is responsible for the special behavior of the genetic center. Janaki Raman. ஐயா வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
ஐயா வாழ்க வளமுடன். நான் just enjoy பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் ஐயா. ஆனந்த் ஐயா.
வாழ்க வளமுடன் ஐயா.
Just enjoying the
we also enjoy your voice. Thank you, yeah.
Super. Thank you, yeah. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Vijay Lakshmi, what's the time now?
It's 20 minutes extra, yeah. Yeah, we wanted to hear from Swadhandra Devi as a senior doctor.
Is it enough, or where is Tarun?
Can we hear from Swadhandra Devi also as a senior doctor, because this is more medical perspective, so which we enjoyed.
We will give that. What, Dr. Devi? Next class you will do the review of this day's proceedings the next week.
I'll try, but Dr. Ananda, it was a very, very wonderful presentation. I think with AI, as I told already, it's very much easier to reach people, Maharishi's principles can reach people more easily with this type of presentations, and really appreciate you for it.
Thank you.
Anyway, today's meeting merits a repetition with more light on difficult points. Manisha, Leela, Vinodan, and others will be happy to have it. So we will have it next week also. For the present, Tarun?
Yeah, next week we have scheduled with Dr. Gnana Bharati Ayya for the...
We will fix it after the meeting. Is Tarun here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to the whole conversation. And
I missed you for a long time. Now you just voice yourself.
Thanks. Yeah, in the interest of time, I'm just going to give a small gist of what it is. Dr. Ananda, very good, very well presented. So one of the key concepts that he touched upon, which is highly influencing my research work, is the entropy. In scientific terms, entropy is called a random things that happens in a very uncertain environment. But I think there is a misunderstanding somewhere in between in terms of our existence, which is what Dr. Ananda touched upon in today's conversation, where different chemicals, when they exist in different places, life exists, and if they interchange their location, then we die. So it's like a simple conscious existence, but how does this entropy, which is considered randomness, not a random access, but as a real existence for an existence of a bio life. So what I feel is, though it's an entropy, the life itself is not a random act. It was some kind of a conscious act that came into existence. So which is what I'm trying to look at the life force and life force particle to see how that thing happened. It's a very physical question too, physics-wise, in thermodynamics, but how does it work in biodynamics is, I will probably, Ananda, I'll email you or talk to you in person to get more in depth biologically how it's happening. Thank you.
Karanji, to add into that, there is a word called negentropy. They are, connecting that with the life force. Just wanted to give a hint on that.
There's so many tropies, but the fundamental of all those tropies was the entropy, which he touched upon. So I definitely want to understand from a biological point of view how that works. So.
Tarun, make a list.
Negentropy is the opposite of
entropy. And we will take it up the next occasion.
Yeah,
possible.
Sure, right.
Right. For the present, Vijay Lakshmi is free to conclude.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Let us conclude our session with world blessings. May the world be blessed with plenty of rain. The farmers hope to produce an abundance of grain. Let practitioners of all prosper, flourish, and grow, and culture progress through the need to share and grow. Let the rulers be beyond feelings of anger or fear, illiteracy, poverty, and all evils made to disappear. Let the true lamp of knowledge burn steady and bright. Our sense of duty guide us along paths always right. உலகமெல்லாம் பருவமழை ஒத்தபடி பெய்யட்டும், உழவரெல்லாம் தானியத்தை ஒப்புடனே பெருக்கட்டும், பல தொழில்கள் புரிகின்ற பாட்டாளி உயரட்டும், பகுத்துணர்வில் தொகுத்துணர்வு பண்பாட்டை உயர்த்தட்டும், கலகங்கள் போட்டி பகை கடந்தாற்றி நடக்கட்டும், கல்லாமை கடன் வறுமை களங்கங்கள் மறையட்டும், நலவாழ்வை அளிக்குமே ஞான ஒளி வீசட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும். வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன்.